Okay, I skipped the first couple slides of the 4-hour and 1-hour charts, just adjusted my levels, and here we sit. So, just to speed up the process of making the video a little bit. Definitely downtrending the last few days still, and the volume has shifted down, excuse me. So, my plan of attack is to wait for a rise. I think this drop will stop and it will go up, maybe to the POC level here. We'll see how it goes, and then I want to get into a short. And didn't realize until a couple hours or maybe an hour later that this is actually a holiday. This is Juneteenth, whatever that is. And this is kind of an off market. That's why the blue line is here, because it's actually an electronic trading hour session, which makes a lot of sense when you look at the volume profile a little bit later on. So anyway, so we waited. Here's a little bit of a tip up, possibly might be changing, waiting and waiting. The POC change dropped down, so I'm thinking maybe it'll probably drop to the SMA at this point, the yellow one, and definitely looking like it's going up. At this point, I kind of made a decision that, well, if I really think it's going up, why don't I trade on that? Because that's a pretty decent trade. So I got into a long, and I figured this was probably a decent point to get out at this point, just because of the cluster of orders there. You can see the volume profile has a nose there. You can barely see it. But anyway, put that in, and I think that was a decent call, actually, because the market was really slow this morning. So that's actually not bad, even though I'm trading against the trend. Now, what you see here, I think, is fairly interesting. You can see flat here and flat here, a little bit of flat here. I think it's because it's an electronic trading session. These are a ton of orders that have been put in. So that's kind of interesting to keep an eye on that. All right, crossover, looks like it's going up. Watching it, it dipped down, and I kept holding on. I didn't move my stop this time. It's like, man, I'm gonna get this trade. I'm gonna wait it out, and I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not at a loss. I just I just lost the profit that I had made so far, but I think it's gonna bounce, and it did. So it was awesome, and it went up. And then at this point, I decided, I'd be really upset with myself if it dipped down and I missed all that. So I put my stop up to lock in $250 of profit, and got stopped out. So that's fine. On a trade where I'm trading against the trend, I think that was an amazing trade. Still think it's going to go up, and then I'll get into a short. At this point, I hadn't realized that it was after hours trading, so that kind of changed things for me. All right, the POC just dropped, you can see, and you can barely see it, but there's like one single line right here of the highest trades. So we've got two really strong areas of consolidation and a lot of orders right there in that area. All right, and I had to zoom in a little bit to see that. I put the cursor right at it so you can see those two areas here. All right, and I put in an order to go short at this point because it did look like it was going to turn over. The MACD is just about there. Hasn't quite filled yet. Could kind of see it coming. It had the drop, and I figured, well, it's probably ready to drop now. So I lowered my order so I would get filled, which then increased my, if I go back again, it increased the loss that I had set where the stop was about $100 because I missed out on that $100 profit right there with that drop. But it's still a decent trade. I was trying to figure out where was the best place to put this exit order. I ended up putting it kind of at, I don't know, the higher volume area here, which was the bottom of this trough here. And 250 is not bad. It is really amazing how many orders have been placed right at this point, though. Lowered it down just a little bit, I think. I'm not sure. It started to head up, and I got nervous, raised my stop up to this point just because that's a huge loss. However, I really, really, really think that it's dropping. The trend is pretty strongly down. So did that. It kind of flattened out, and I lowered this down to this group of orders that are really flat right through here, and that's also the bottom of the bodies of the candles here, which I honestly think is not a bad place for it to go. I think it's very likely. And then at this point, this is where I realized that it was after hours trading, so I thought, well, I probably should just get out. Let's see if I can get out at break even. So I raised up my limit to just get out at a very small profit, hopefully, and it started to drop, and I raised it up just one tick above and got filled. At this point, it was kind of a hard call because I could see it drop coming. It's like, oh man, I think it might be happening, but I've got to go, and the market's super slow, so I just got out. So that last trade made me just like $12.50. So that left me with a profit of $262.50 for a holiday, which is not bad. I'm happy with that.